All righty. Welcome to another episode of the Abundant Accountant Podcast. And as a little bonus, this one is live for you guys. Thank you all so much for being here with us. The Abundant Accountant Podcast, as you know, is here to help you thrive, flourish, and prosper during a time of people that might be contracting, and how you can get further in your business now than any other time in the past. So if you're an accountant, you're in the right place, because we help you really sharpen those skills, have consistent revenue coming in the door where you have the confidence to convert at really high levels and percentages. So we cover topics like today, value pricing, finding your ideal clients and how to really convert those, increasing your cash flow profitability, decreasing and getting rid of accounts receivable completely, and really learning how to set boundaries with your clients, and so much more. So you're in the right place, and this podcast will show you exactly how to create the business and life of your dreams. So thank you so much for being here. And Denise and I have a very special offer for you that if you're finding it a little challenging to thrive, prosper, and grow during this time, then head on over to theabundantcall.com to book a call with us. If you're frustrated and stressed of getting the right referrals, overwhelmed with the amount of loan paperwork to fill out, and feel like you're stuck in the compliance grind and the paperwork grind, and really want to focus on those higher paying clients, you're probably just like a lot of the other accountants we work with. You know, you're on this cash flow roller coaster ride. So head on over to theabundantcall.com. Coaching sessions with us are completely complimentary as long as you've been an accountingpreneur for at least 2 years. So 2 years is our requirement. And let's get into today's show. So welcome, Denise.
Hey, Michelle. So good to see you.
Always great to see you. We don't do the live versions enough.
Yeah. And especially now, I mean, we're a virtual company anyway, right? So, but we still won't get to see each other face to face like for a little while yet, but that's okay.
That's okay. We're going to see each other very soon. I think Chicago's our next time. But being a virtual company, especially for some of you that I've talked to in the past, you've got an accounting firm, you've got a brick and mortar, and now you've been forced to figure out how to go virtual. So thank you to the pandemic for helping you shift your business in that aspect. But today, we're really going to talk about how to use value-based pricing for your accounting services, how you can use value-based pricing even right now with forecasting, projections, cash flow planning, and allowing your clients to see what possibilities there are instead of contracting and getting in that. You know, Denise, I think you and I were talking about a lot of people are in fear, flight, and one other F. I can't think of it right now.
Fear, flight, and fight.
Fight. Yeah, mode. They're fighting, right?
They're fighting for survival.
Fighting
for that's
survival.
Not very empowering.
No, it's not. But how can you thrive? How can you prosper? And how can you really grow during this time so you can come out the other side? And one of the ways is to use value-based pricing on the services that you can offer more of the consulting packages, right? So if you think about the different services, there's financial projections that you could be helping business owners if they get a PPL loan, or if they get an EIDL, or if they get, there's so many little acronyms out there that I'm getting really used to them, thanks to all of you. But how can you thrive with your clients and set up packages, be it emergency cash flow plan packages, or, you know, post-virus packages, on how they can be set up to make acquisitions for the competitors that don't make it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And Denise, can you share with everyone who you are and where you're at? Because they might not remember you, even though you've been here a lot of times with me. But just in case you're a new listener to the Abundant Accountant Podcast, just give a brief bio.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Denise Mandel, and I live on the East Coast in New Jersey at the shore. For those of you who are in the New York metropolitan area, you know what the shore is. But for those of you who don't, it's the Jersey Shore. I live about 10 minutes from the beach. Been here for, close to 20 25 years. And I was a financial planner for 22 years, sold my practice about 12 years ago. And I just love working with accountants because I understand how to help you bring your value to the table and stop charging, undercharging your value. And
Right.
Michelle and I just love, we love helping you have thriving, successful, abundant practices.
Yes, we do. And you know how quickly one of you or all of you, and myself included, actually, that's kind of a lie. I like paperwork, but I don't get paid for it. So, but you know how unmotivated you can get so quickly when you keep charging hourly or you're charging this small little fee for filling out paperwork for clients when really that could be the value add and then you could convert at the higher levels. So again, it's how today I think the theme is going to be thriving, prosper, flourish, move forward, and not contracting and thinking about what are the big opportunities that you can capitalize on and then how you can value based price around that. So Denise, what would you say would be the first way to, you know, really get into the value based pricing, especially with the times where we're at today, being in the pandemic, and a lot of you I've spoken to one on one. You know, Michelle, I feel like I should just help them with this. They already pay me monthly fees, and what else
Oh,
have I heard? You know, there's a limit on what we can charge our clients to fill out a form, and it's like we have to see past the form. We have to see past the monthly services and think about 90 days from now, 120 days from now, you know, 6 months from now. What are those opportunities? Because there's actually a ton of businesses thriving. I mean, man, if I sold toilet, I think Charmin toilet paper's doing pretty well, right?
there's a
Or the
there's a
Clorox
lot.
company.
There's a lot of entrepreneurs and there's people that have the resources. Yes, there's some businesses that are non-essential that have closed down and those and right, those people actually even need your help even more, some of those people, because
They do.
they need to know how they can pivot or how they can, position themselves for when things start to normalize. So your knowledge and your advice and your expertise is even more valuable. And one thing we talk to a lot about with our students is to not undervalue that. Like, don't give them a band-aid, right?
Yeah.
Because they really need your help. I don't know. Is a doctor not going to charge because somebody has cancer? No, they're going to charge for that. They paid a lot of money to learn how to help people through it.
Right. So if you were to, let's give a real life example, right? And I was talking to one of our students, Mike, earlier today, and he's putting together financial forecasting and financial projection packages for his clients so they can come out the other side of this, no matter how short or how long this goes, where they are moving ahead and they're moving forward and they come out the other side like even in a better position than they're at today. And he was sharing with me that this has been a very successful opportunity that he's been offering. So when it comes to, okay, well, Denise, how would you price that? You know, if we were going to go through a coaching session right now, pretending I'm Mike, like what are some of the types of pricing and ways that we could put this together? Because who knows how long it's going to take to put together some financial projections. Uh, but I think it's a great idea for you to think about for those business clients or even high net worth individuals. You know, the stock market's on sale right now. Another
Yeah.
one of our students, Wendy, I mean, she's there's a lot of bargain shopping going on in the stock market right now for those that have funds to make those investments.
Yeah. And so I think it's also important to keep in mind that you have to shift your way of thinking away from a la carte or away from hourly to thinking more about what's the value, what's the time or the amount of money you're going to save someone. Maybe it's a percentage of savings that you come up with a flat percentage. We've had some students do that. I can think of David who was charging by the hour, and then we taught him how to shift that and really look at what is the value that you're bringing. How much are you saving them in aggravation in time, that they can actually then turn around and use that savings right now, right? And now he's getting, I think, no less than $4,500 minimum to just like even just do an overview with somebody.
Yeah, and I think it's really important when you think of how to use the value pricing, right? Because high value services and how to price them, you can do an hourly rate. You can do a fixed fee, which we'll talk about. Or you can do something like what you're talking about, Denise, which is value pricing. In addition to that, if you think about the current times and your business clients, 30, 60, 90, 120 days from today, think about the opportunities missed. If they don't consult with you, what would it cost them? And I was just on a phone call right now, like 30 minutes ago, and someone said, Michelle, well, what does it cost me? And I asked her, I said, well, what would be interesting to know is because you haven't had a solid plan, and maybe you don't have a solid package in place that you're offering your clients, and you don't really, you said it's pretty loosey goosey. That was the exact term she used, loosey goosey. I asked her, how much missed revenue do you think you've missed every single month because of that? And she said about 2 to 3 thousand a month. Okay, so in the last 6 months, then it probably cost you about $6,000. And what I want you to see on the value pricing side is that that's an investment. And if you switch it, so for her, the investment to do an education, a program, work with Denise and I, hint, hint, wink, wink. By the way, you can go to theabundantcall.com if you want to really improve on what we're discussing. I'm glad we just got a thumbs up. That's great. So with that being said, the investment there's going to be a return on that. And especially for all your business clients, if you do a financial forecasting package, if you do a projections package, if you're like Wendy and do a whole financial investment package that if they buy on the stock market at a 50% discount and then they come out 200% in the future, I can't do that math without an Excel spreadsheet, but that's a lot of money. So if you charge for your services to have that consulting fee, which, by the way, Mike, when I talked to him earlier, has 70 clients, and you're going to hear his episode because we just talked about KPIs today. 70 clients doing $2 million in revenue. So he is using value pricing because it's not based on how. Now he tracks his hours, which I think is important to talk about. So Denise, if you want to talk about why it's important to actually track how much time you use, but it's not how we price it.
Right, right. I mean, yeah, you have to kind of think ahead and plan ahead. That's why it's important to prepare
Prepare.
and know what know how much time it's going to take you to figure something out or to do a assessment or whatever it is that you're offering. It's important for you to know how much time it will take you, because if you underprice it, then you're going to feel like you're you're working slave wages, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to be able to build enough in there to make sure that you're not pricing based on your time and rushing through something. You want to be able to take your time and really be paid for your knowledge, right?
Yeah, and
And
the knowledge too, just real quick, is like the person I was speaking to, she had a master's in tax, she had a CPA, had an undergrad, and a lot of you do, right? And some of you even have a law degree in tax. And not too happy with the amount of money you're making for how many hours you work. So most of the examples that I hear is revenues around 100,000, give or take 50. However, we're working 12 to 15 hours a day. I would go crazy. I
yeah,
can't do that. I'd last one day like that, and it's not healthy. And with the pandemic, we have to keep our immune systems up. So
right.
so it's very important that we pay attention to this, because you have to think about, well, was it with Mike? Yeah, it was with Mike today. It's like, well, sometimes people are making more working at Costco. And it's like, yeah, why don't we do the things we love but also get paid for it. So you can't discount your knowledge. Your knowledge did not go on the stock market sale a couple weeks ago.
Right.
That will never get discounted. So, if you have a master's, you have the CPA, EA, you've done tax resolution courses, you're certified tax, like that's a lot of education, and that you get repaid for, and be able to share that knowledge with others, which is why the value pricing is my favorite way on how to price your higher value services.
Well, and there's a little story that I think illustrates really well.
Okay.
So there was this uh, tanker, right? A ship that was at port. There was a problem, and all these different engineers kept coming and trying to figure out the problem, and they just couldn't get it to work. And they heard about this older gentleman who was supposed to be really like amazing at what he did. And he came and he like kind of looked over everything and he listened, and he had this little hammer, and he went and he touched this one little spot and he went dink like that, and all of a sudden all the engines started going. And he was there maybe, 20 minutes.
Mm.
So what happened was when they got his bill, it was $30,000. And they were like,
For 20
you were only
minutes of
here.
work.
Yeah. And they were like, how come, all these other people, how come it was so much? He goes, well, he says, it's not the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was the 30 years that I of experience that I have to know exactly where to place that little hammer to fix things. That's what you paid for.
Yeah, and that's not any different for all of you listening right now. And can we name that story, Denise? Because that was well said. I don't think we need to talk about anything else today.
That's maybe the older man and the hammer.
The older man and the hammer is the only thing you all need to remember, right?
Yeah,
Because I think a lot of you who I've spoken to have said, well, I feel like I've got to do all this work in order to charge those types of fees. But if you were the older guy with the hammer and you learned for 30 years what you needed to do, right? Like our student Ellen, okay? Ellen, she only does restaurants, and she can figure out real quick how to help a restaurant become profitable and have positive cash flow and not go out of business. Well, if I were a restaurant owner, I rather, because I had one of those and it didn't work out so well. So if I had Ellen and she could actually cost out all the recipes, figure out the food waste, figure out the food loss, like that business is so complicated. I rather pay Ellen $30,000 one time than hire. How many of you, or I've heard from your clients, I need a new accountant because mine hasn't called me back. Mine didn't know what they were doing. They made this mistake. Or how many business tax returns have you seen with a lot of mistakes on it? Where someone like Ellen, who's an expert in that specific little area and niche of restaurants, can fix it one time. And you don't have to have 8 million different people coming through you and it taking longer, because the length of time to fix something or get the right person to help you also has a cost to it.
that's right.
Right? So
It,
the guy with the tool in the boat, how many times did they probably call someone else to come fix it?
that maybe had less experience
Less
or less
experience.
education and didn't do extra education to know all the little details,
Right.
maybe hasn't studied the tax code as much as you guys have to find all the little loopholes and all the little things, right? There's a
Or
value to
or
that.
can negotiate with the IRS, like one of our awesome superstar tax resolution clients, David. I mean,
Yeah,
he has opening mail ceremony parties with clients, and they pay them $30,000. He gets paid $30,000 to have an opening mail ceremony because it's so stressful that the clients have anxiety going to the mailbox because all they have are letters from the IRS because they haven't done anything with their taxes in years.
yeah.
So,
So we're just if we haven't impressed on it upon you enough, if you haven't gotten it, stop charging by the session or what you think is fair, or swimming with the rest of the sharks that are charging, undercharging their value. And so that when you value price, you're going to set yourself apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
And there is no way for people to compare pricing that way.
No, there isn't. There you can't compare anymore. It's not like it's a commodity, right? Like apples at Trader Joe's were I think $1.50, and then some. I went to Target and they were like $1.80. Like this is the most expensive apple I've ever seen. But you're comparing a certain fruit in a store where you can't compare what's in here, what's in your head, what's all the education that you've had. So remember that each client also values different things. So everyone might see this different, and I'm not sure if we've done an episode on this yet, Denise, but this could be a good idea in that if you're with a client and you're explaining this to them, for me, I'm very visual, right? So when you share the story, I envision the boat, I envision the guy there, I envision the little screw. But some people might be really auditory and you might have to explain it. So are they sharing with you? Think about the way they're communicating to you so you can also communicate back in their way of listening. That also helps sell higher value services. What do you
Yes,
do, Denise?
correct.
What work? I know you've got another good story like the boat.
I do. A
Yeah.
story that you can think of.
I mean, no, I don't know, but I'm hoping you do because you always have good ones.
um, now you caught me off guard here. But when you think about it, right? I mean, the most important thing is to really, when you're wanting to demonstrate your value, is to ask the right questions, get underneath, right? You want to get behind, really understand the problems that your client is dealing with right now. Like many of them did not have a strategic plan for such a time as this. And so there's a huge opportunity for you to really position yourself in a way that you are delivering a lot of value to help them through this difficult period of time. For some of your clients, for
Some.
some of your clients, it's not a difficult period of time. It's like cherry picking, and now they're going to need to know, like, how to manage their cash flow, how to have a strategic plan, how to be set up so that they're not going to end up overpaying their taxes for all the growth that they have right now,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And there's so many new credits and tax planning opportunities that if you keep it up here and put it in an engagement letter and take them through an enrollment process, it changes everything. But Denise, you said ask really good questions. What is the best question to ask right now during this time to your clients? The first one.
The first one that I would ask is, what is your biggest challenge in your business right now?
Yeah.
What is it that you're needing advice on or help with to help you thrive
Yes.
during this time in our history?
And maybe adding something in the beginning. I don't know what you think about this, but you could also say, I know there's a lot of changes happening in the world right now, or I know there's a lot of changes happening in your business and along with your client's business, and acknowledging that you're not discounting what's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's super important because the truth is that with your help, if they're positioned properly, if they know their numbers and and you can help them really understand uh, where they may be able to, like you were talking about, there's buying opportunities, right? In the
Yeah, I
market
told
or
Wendy to help me shop at the stock market sale.
but even not just even that, even buying inventory at low
Yeah,
prices. I mean,
buying.
like
True.
this might be the perfect time because I can't even tell you how much I've seen online. Hey, we're closing our doors. They're selling out things that you could be using, or if you're buying retail stuff, or I mean, look at my neighbor is he's that manages a Walgreens. Their
Wow.
shelves are empty for people who have inventory. They're making a lot of money now,
They are.
and yeah, I mean, so those are people you could really help thrive through this time and make sure that that they have the systems in place that, that they have this accounting systems in place to actually manage all of this. So
It
huge
it
opportunity.
is. There are a lot of opportunities, and we're not going to discount everything, like, discredit, I should say, not discount, discredit everything that is going on, but really thinking, outside the box. And for some of you that work closely with us, one of my bonus ideas for you to really attract and get higher value service type clients would be offer a webinar on showing people how to fill out the forms themselves so you can focus on the strategic consulting side offers, but yet be able, because this is a time right now to acquire new clients. This is a great time to get new leads. Yes, you can service your current people, but think about all of the people where, their CPAs are so bogged down that they don't even have the time or the bandwidth to put together a webinar, teach them all of the different loan options that are available, but yet all of the future credits that, again, you're going to keep that in your head and offer it in a consulting type, cash flow plan, financial projection type package. And lastly, one thing I want to say, Denise, and you can add to it as well if you think of anything, but cost doesn't factor into value based pricing. And so when you think about when a client says, well, what's this going to cost me? Think about what I said, 10, 15 minutes ago, that the cost is, what if they don't work with you? Then what's going to happen? What, how much an extra tax might they pay? If they screw up this PPL loan and don't pay out the payroll properly, or, I don't know, you guys are my technical best friends. We'll help you sell this stuff all day long, but we're not on the technical side. But remember that the value you can determine is based on that specific client. So think about that again, really coming into your meetings prepared, like Denise said, but thinking about what is it going to cost them, because a lot of mistakes are going to happen in the next 12 months, 24 months. The deadline was changed to July for most people, but the businesses are all scrambling. No one had a plan in place. And how can we thrive and prosper and flourish during this time? Denise, do you have anything else on, how one can price their higher value packages now without feeling guilty of selling during this time? That's another one I've heard. So maybe we could actually address that, the feeling guilty department. When really this is the time when people do need you, and you're not a nonprofit, I don't think. Last time I checked,
Yeah,
no one I've talked to on the phone has been a nonprofit. So,
right. I mean, and that's, I think, a really good point that now more than ever is the time to stand in your value, because this is what you've been preparing for, a time like this where you can really thrive if you own your value.
yes,
And I think that's the most important thing, just really owning that, this is going to take a lot of time. And I can, the opportunities that I can advise my clients on, right? Because there's not just possibility of them not paying too much in taxes, but missed opportunity costs
right.
for them,
Yeah,
right?
that's what
And if you don't jump on this is a missed opportunity cost for you. And that's why we're having this discussion today, because we don't want you to miss out.
we do not want you to miss out. So, Denise, is there anything that we missed that you can think of for today for, trying value pricing, which is just a number that you feel really good about that pays for your education and knowledge and time and expertise, and really how to attract those higher value clients now, because they should stand out really nicely. All the ones
Yeah,
that you really want to work with should be shining bright in front of you right now.
right, right. And yeah, I think, just taking that time to think about what you can do, and put what kind of package you could put together, and focus on that,
Mm-hmm.
and then just start a reach out strategy and just checking in with clients, how you doing, and let them know, hey, listen, you may have been thinking about this, or maybe you're hearing all about this. Let's set up a time so I can go over how I can help you with this, and then we'll talk about getting to work.
Yeah. And now's the time to start setting up those appointments. So I just want to thank each of you for, spending the time with us today, listening. I know some of you are maybe like a little frustrated, stressed. I know a lot of overwhelm right now with all the new laws and reading you have to do. But if you do truly want to get to the truth of where you're at with your enrollment conversations, your sales conversations in your firm, and you want to move forward during this time, and you want to thrive, flourish, and prosper, and not and be without the people. I think like probably 90% are in the fear department, the flight department. They're contracting. They're getting really small. But if you want to move forward and chat with us, we are doing calls, so you can go over to theabundantcall.com. We will talk about where you're at in your firm, what missed opportunities you have, right? Where are
Right.
you missing the boat? And to be honest, this isn't your fault. Not a lot of people are training on this, especially how to connect the dots and fix the problems for the accountant industry only. Yours truly and Denise are here for you. So feel free to head on over to theabundantcall.com. It'd be an honor to serve you for an hour. Even if we don't work together, at least you'll get clarity. You'll have mental clarity. You'll probably have some anxiety clarity, and maybe you'll have an opportunity and a roadmap on how to convert these higher value clients. So thank you all so much for joining us today on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It's always an honor to be here. And if you are laying in bed watching Ozark or Netflix later, feel free to head on over to Apple Podcast and leave a written review, because that has helped the show grow. So I want to thank you for each of you who's left a review. We appreciate you, and we hope to talk to some of you very soon. Thank you.